1, 2, 3. Listen.
Welcome to Real Deal, Real Deal, Real Deal, Real Deal, Real Deal. Joining me today are the happy pair. Welcome to Real Deal. Welcome to Real Talk. I am here with John, and just ignore us for a while because we're going to just try to go a little bit deep and understand what's going on with you. So look, I appreciate you coming here. I know it was a bit of a travel to get in here, but you're here, I guess, to try to see if I can help you with a problem or with something going on in your life. So tell me, what's going on with you? What's like the biggest challenge happening with you right now? And yeah, just tell me, like, what's the single biggest thing that's stopping you from doing what you want to do?
Well, as I see it, I see it as an absolute defamation, my being dragged in error, in incompetent error, into the Brazilian car wash, their Lava Jato enterprise. It was done in a manner that was ostensibly illegal, technically illegal, and one thing that I praised the most, my reputation that I invested so much in, it feels like that went down the drain.
Okay, so you feel like you were done wrong by the Brazilian government and they hurt your reputation, and that's stopping you from moving forward.
Yeah, that's what's really interesting about the question. I think the psychological aspect of it stops me from going forward.
Right.
More so than the actual defamation, but the defamation is not something that I feel it's objectively the case.
Okay. All right, so this is good. So you're actually willing to kind of see the fact that it's not necessarily the thing that happened, but you still have a lot of psychological hang-ups about that's stopping you from moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten as far as trying to appreciate the psychological aspect of this,
Okay.
and this has been a little over a year and a half now, and I've gotten a lot of value from the work here in the meantime, and now I'm in London and I have to start new, but what they did was objectively, defamation. There's no.
Okay.
They printed my name.
Okay. They what?
They printed my name.
They printed your name.
They printed my name
Okay.
in connection with an investigation, and then oops, but no just cause. This guy had done nothing. It was all illegal. They threw the book out the window. They're not bound by precedent.
Okay. So they basically defamed you in Brazil, and so you want to move here and start your life anew, but you're still dealing with some of the trauma of that happening to you. Is that
Right.
fair to say?
That is fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And let me ask you a couple questions. Is there any reason, starting right now, that you can't move forward? Like, I understand you're still angry about this, right?
Well, they actually have my name out on the paper. So if you
I know.
Google my name,
I know.
you're going to get a suggestion of something inaccurate.
Sure, I understand. But there's nothing you can do about that now, right? So all you can really do is move forward, or you can live in that past, and it sounds like a really painful thing for you, and I don't blame you, because your reputation's everything, right? And this is an important thing for you, right?
Yeah, and if you work with money,
Yeah.
and you have any suggestion of this type of business, then of course that can ruin you.
Is it your career being kind of hurt by this that bothers you, or is it bothers you because it was disrespectful and it was an injustice, and it also made your friends and family look poorly upon you?
Well, it's all that.
All of that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I can tell this bothers you a lot, and this is a big trauma, and I totally get it. I totally get it, how that's done that thing to you. At the same time, you're in London now, and like forward facing, it's very possible you could build a career that isn't determined by this. I mean, Michael Milken got out of prison and built this amazing career, and he, of course, he just recently got pardoned, but there's like Nelson Mandela got out of prison for 27 years and he became president. So there's actually a lot of precedent of people coming back from these things and building these great legacies. But if you keep living in the past, it's never going to go.
Yeah, and I struggle.
And that's what's happening here, right? I mean, I saw your video and I appreciate it, and I saw your form, and this is obviously bothering you, which it should, but at some point, it's just eating you up inside. That's what I see. I see something that's just, I see your face, and it's just like, it's still tearing you up inside, and you still feel angry at this injustice by this system. And it's true, but it's not going to help you get to the next level, which is potentially to create great capital and help people with their lives and build something amazing. Or, I don't know, do you have kids right now?
I do. I have a child.
Or your kids will say, oh, Dad was the bitter guy his whole life at that thing and he never ever got off of that. Or are you going to be the guy that choose that as the defining moment of, I'm going to use all that energy and build something positive?
Right. Yes, the latter, for sure. But also I need to tell the story.
Yeah.
It kind of brought me here.
You need to tell the story but not get wrapped up in it.
There you go.
Right, okay.
It's finding that balance, exactly.
Right, okay. Do you think about your kids sometimes? Do you think about how they're going to think about you? Because they're going to read all this in history. I mean, is that something?
My daughter was shocked by the whole thing, and she's in the United States, and
How old is she?
She's 19 years old.
Okay.
Today, and or she was 18 then, and she can't conceive of an effective revolution and how lower court judiciary can become activists, and they're not bound by precedent, and oops, they made an error. As a friend of mine exchanged an email. If something like this happened in the United States, you get compensated for that.
Let me ask you this, just as a way of maybe kind of putting this out there. If you had to explain to your daughter or someone else back there in like a few sentences exactly the way you want it to be known from here on out what happened, what would you say? Like if you had to just clearly and simply explain this, what would you say? Like say this was written in stone, you know, on a tablet somewhere where you could say, this is what happened and I want everyone to know that, and now I can move on. What would you say? Because otherwise it feels like it's so easy to relive it, and you could write a book about this, and you could clear your name, but it could also take 3 years and it could infect your life.
You just defined my struggle right now. As to what extent do I want to really clear this and write the book? I do want to write the book, but is it going to suck me in and just eat me?
Yeah, it's already sucking you in. Yeah. I mean, I feel that. Am I wrong? I mean, tell me, how does this treat you emotionally? Does it keep you up at night? Is it?
I wake up thinking about this.
Right. It stresses you out.
Yeah, because all the things that I would normally do, I'm prevented from doing right now. The people that I call, the companies that I'd be communicating with, sending applications to, all that is prevented by this. So I have to...
Is it prevented in your mind, or is it actually prevented by the evidence out there? Because that's the other thing I'm wondering. Does everybody care or not? Because we know that there weird things happen in Brazil all the time. You know, if you really, but if you really come and present yourself as this guy in the financial markets that has this plan, are people going to take that as seriously as the presentation we have of you and your ideas? Or, you know what I mean? How much of that is in your head?
Thank you for asking that, because I begin to feel that a lot of I'm projecting this, and it's preventing me from...
I think you are projecting it, you know? I think you could easily write a quick thing, and if it comes up in a meeting, say, oh yeah, that's actually what happens in Brazil. You saw what happened with Lula, you saw what happened with this. They make a lot of accusations, which is why I'm now building my future in the UK, and why I'm super excited to have this investor and this investor. And the person will probably be like, okay, cool, great. What do we do? Okay. How do we start? How do we get started?
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? But you're keeping it all inside, and you're like, oh, but this and that, and then you probably project this insecurity. If it comes up to me, and you'll be like, yeah, and I was wrongly accused, and they're wrong, and I'm going to fight it, and all this negative energy, and I'm thinking, next, I want to do business with the other guy.
I see.
So all of this stuff it's retarding you, and I can see that, and you can probably feel it. And I'm not saying you're not justified in being angry, but at some point, that anger and that living in the past is just not going to serve you anymore. So that's why I was saying, if you have that one thing to say about it, say we're having a meeting, and I'm like, oh yeah, I read this thing on Google about you in Brazil. What was that about?
That's a complete error. They just an illegal error, and but they were compelled to publish all their queries, everything they were doing. They were already publishing it immediately, and what you see suggests that I most likely would have had some sort of involvement, when really there was no just cause. There was no grounds for even involving me in anything to begin with.
Okay. I think we can work on that answer a little bit better. I think it'd be better if saying this is something that's very politically motivated. It's something that the party has done. They've done it in the past. And so what I've decided to do is just move on. This is the country that I know and love, but unfortunately they do things funny sometimes in a political way. And that's why I'm here in the UK, and I'm building a new future business. Like, I would so much rather hear that as an investor or a potential partner.
Because what I said was just sort of like apologizing or remorseful.
I feel anger, resentment.
Anger, resentment. That's the word.
Yeah, and you are angry and resentful. Yeah. And maybe we should talk about that real quick. If you had to speak to me, if I was the government of Brazil or the people that did this, what would you tell them right now?
Well, that it's pejorative. I mean, I'd say that their attempt to look nice is as bad as everything they've been so far. They try to they cast the hero, and then at the same time they look worse trying to fight corruption. You disregard the law, you act unlawfully to supposedly do what's right. Now I get it. What's right is this cause majeure gives you moral license to do whatever you want, and the political vectors are evident. And you just brought up Lula, and this happened. 80% of the people who are convicted by the car wash enterprise, 80%, and these are people who are involved in corruption and graft and all this. These are, 80% of them did not get the actual proper constitutional right to defend themselves. Yeah. So the convictions themselves, as however legitimate they should have been, are unlawful nevertheless. So it's haphazard. Yeah. It's precarious. No matter how you look at it, it's precarious. Now, I am not connected to government. I'm not connected with anybody who had even a possibility to be involved in graft at all. Yeah. I exchanged one email with a childhood friend.
And that's what happened. Okay.
And it looked like perhaps, given that I was close to him still, maybe I would have been helpful to him. So maybe, but you got to investigate. If you're curious, you look into it. You don't send an arrest warrant to a judge who flexes his muscles on Instagram, and that guy doesn't even read it and rubber stamps it and sends somebody to jail and ruins his prospect and his reputation.
This is good, man. What else? What else can you get out anger-wise? Anything else? Because you have to get this out, because you haven't been able to say this to anybody, right? Because it's these faceless institutions, so you can't. So you haven't been able to actually tell somebody how angry you are, and so you're carrying all this anger around.
Yeah, nobody cares.
Right.
Even socially, people don't care. Right. They just say, "Oh, wait, I see, I get it." And now, a year and a half later, people are like, "Well, I can see that you're not really in trouble, that you're not really connected with anything." But people are really, the society became polarized. And so
we just need to get this anger out once and for all right? So I felt a bit of it, and I don't know if you like to ever hit a heavy bag or anything, but it's like we got to get this anger out of you because it's inside you now and it's making you toxic.
Is that right? Okay.
It is. And I saw your videos and I see you now, and it's just bothering you, and you just want to be like, this, I want to tell everybody my story and this was wrong and all this stuff. But in life, we can never stop people from saying bad things about us. Okay, sure, there's libel and there's lawsuits and all that, but those have a cost as well. And from what I know about that government, and I love the country of Brazil, but it sounds like a fucking mess to try to go in and mess with all that stuff. And again, if I was in a business meeting with you and I could feel your energy and you were like, yeah, that's something that used to make me angry, but now I've moved on. I realized it was just completely ridiculous and political, and that's what Brazil is all about. It's the country I love. I grew up there, but I realized that for me, my financial future is going to be in a G7 country. So let me tell you more about my proposal. You know what I mean? That's the energy I need to feel from you, and that's what your daughter needs to feel, and that's what all the people need to feel around you. When we feel that way, it'll be over. We'll want to do business with you, and you'll be through that as well. And so, but you feel wronged, and you want revenge, is what it feels to me right now. You want payback, and you want justice. Yeah. But I think that pursuit is going to take you 10 or 20 years, and it might never actually get where you want. It's potentially going to ruin your life and your career and your family members. You can feel this. You can see this.
I begin to. Yeah, it's clear to appreciate that. It's so clear to.
Yeah, and it's an ego thing at the end of the day, And look, I have an ego too, but the ego really hurts us, and it's ultimately your ego that says you did this wrong to me, and you made me look bad, and you're wrong and I'm right. Okay, but that doesn't solve the long-term problem of doing great things for the world, building a business, being a father, being a leader. That actually takes a reduction of ego and thinking, okay, what's the bigger purpose? Do I going to worry about these people throwing sticks and stones at me, or am I going to build something new? And look at throughout history, there's plenty of big figures that have gotten over things much worse than yours, that have gone on to do great things in their life. And there's a bunch of people that allowed something like this to ruin their life. So you need to choose which one. And if you have to think about your daughter or other people, I mean, honestly, she's 19, she's looking at you. Honestly, if you had that conversation I just had with her and said, you know what, honey, we both know what Brazil's like and I love that place, but when it comes to government and politics and this stuff, they do some things that are just crazy. And I was involved in that, and my name came up and that's what happened. Yeah, and guess what, I'm moving on. And be an example to her of how she's got to live her life. You don't want her to be living in anger like you're going to have to, and we're all going to get slighted in this world. I've had things happen to me in the past too, and if I still lived there, I wouldn't have created London Real. You walked in and you said London Real meant a lot for you,
Yeah.
right? Guess what it meant? It meant I had to check my ego at the door and not fight someone in the past because they did something wrong to me, or I'd still be angry at them, and I showed them, right? So what if you win? So what if you go down some libel case and they retract it in the newspaper and apologize? There'll be so much damage to you and your life and everything, it won't even matter. It's what they call a Pyrrhic victory, right? And what? You're going to say, oh, I got them, and you'll have destroyed yourself and your life and your family and your reputation more in the process. So this is about the ego. It's about acknowledging. I got, something I call resist and transform. The first is acknowledging and resisting this temptation. I think for you to fight them, to get angry, and to get even. And I think you gotta let it go. Now that's not easy to do, but it's about taking that anger, stepping outside of it, recognizing it, and then also put in some habits every single day to resist the temptation to go back into it. And also practice what I just said to you in a video and explain it to someone in a calm way, because all people really needs an explanation. They're not as focused on it as you think.
Right.
They really aren't. As you explain it and tell them up front, right away, by the way, this is what happened to me back there. This is something, this is what I've realized had happened, and I've decided to move on and not fight this thing. Tell people right away. They'll be like, okay, great, let's keep doing this. They're going to feel your energy, your intentions, and that's the way you're going to have to live. But you're going to have to find a way to put this behind you. I even think, and I don't know all the details, but this is a feeling I'm getting. I don't feel that this is in your interest to try to fight. I don't even feel like it's in your interest to try to explain. The book and the TED Talk and all that stuff, does it help your career, or does it just make your ego feel better?
See, that's what I'm not clear about. That's exactly what you just, within a few minutes got to where my actual problem is. It's just defining how far I want to take this.
I don't think you should take it any further, man. Honestly, I think you should build a new career. You're going to move to London, right? Is the plan to come do business here?
Yeah, I'm already here. Yeah.
So start fresh, new here, and build it. Or you're going to get wrapped up in this. This is going to take years, and then even when it happens, it's not going to be what you want. I would start fresh and just think, you know what? It's my ego is involved. If I take me out of the equation, what else matters? Why do you want to go into business? You want to create something of value in the future,
That's
right?
precisely to the extent of my possibility. Yeah,
You want to create value, right? And you want to be a great example as a father for your kids.
As a human being.
Yeah, and for your country. So let me ask you one final question. Wouldn't it be the ultimate form of payback to come to London and create some incredible value-added £100 million business? And anyone who ever Googles your name would see that as the search result.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be the ultimate answer to what they did down there?
Yeah, if I could turn a switch and just be positive and constructive, I can see I'll take a different tangent in life.
Right.
So I can see that.
Yeah.
And I have to be able to feel that, to just do that, to go after
So you're still holding on to some of
the
those
prospect
emotions.
of a constructive life. Yeah.
I just think I have something in my process called pay price to action, which means you commit to doing something in a way where you can't kind of go back. It's almost like Cortez burned the ship, so his guys couldn't go back, so they had to make the new world happen. You're at one of these moments. You're here in London, and unless you burn those ships that are going to take you back to Brazil, you're going to still always think like, maybe I better go fight that or go settle that. But like, if you really want to end this and move forward, and you got a ton of energy, I could feel it inside you. I can feel you could probably go build something beautiful, but you got to cut this off. I really do, man.
Thank you.
And because it's obviously it bothers you so much because you know that it could hurt you and the things you could build.
Right.
So there's something good in the fact that it bothers you. And I like a little fight in someone. I can see fight in you. I like anger. It's part of my problem. I like getting angry for the right reasons. But this isn't going to serve you. This is not. So you need to find a way to burn those ships and just say goodbye to it. Honestly, you just need to let this go. Because otherwise you're not going to be able to build this, and you're going to be living in anger, and every conversation with your daughter is going to be something about, these guys screwed me, and these guys did this to me. I've never met a successful person in this world that says those words. Right. So when I read your form and see your video, these guys did this to me, these guys did this to me, I already know you're not going to be successful.
Got to turn that ship around right now. Understood.
I mean, look at the guests on London Real that you watch, whether it's Dan Pena or Ido Portal or Joe Dispenza. They never come in here and say, Brian, this person did this to me. If they ever want to tell a story, they say, I learned this, this made me strong, and that's how I built this. So that's the way you need to frame this narrative. These guys are building the future, John. They're actually helping me build my business, because when things get hard and things get dark, I'm going to use that fuel. And I want to be #1 search result on Google above all that nonsense that's going to show people who I really am. That's the only way to use this lesson. Not to be angry, not for payback, not for that stuff. If you can get there, you're going to be successful. But if in your mind you're continually saying, I'm going to get them, they did this, you're going to live in this negative, scarce.
No, I did approach an understanding that the way to get back, the way to fix this is to be successful. It's create things, is to move beyond all this.
Yeah.
I just felt that there was some level of explanation that was still called for.
I know, but you're not going to get it. Are you?
Just drop it, right?
You're not going to get it from these people.
So I got to pick the right challenge.
Yeah. The right challenge is the future and what you need to focus on. Quickly, I would practice. So a few things I need to say. So one thing you have to do is you're going to have to resist the temptation every single day to go back to this mentality. So what I love to do is affirmations. I'm a big fan of positive affirmations every morning. I say them, Dan Pena says them. And that affirmation has to say that I am no longer angry at these people in Brazil. I actually wish them all the best, because that's the mentality they have and that's the business structure they set up, which will always hurt them. And I wish them well, and I am now moving forward. I'm moving forward with positivity. I no longer think of that. And it's someday, John, you might even forgive those people. And you might even thank them for giving you the fool. And let me say one last crazy thing. 10 years from now, you'll look back on this and say, if I hadn't have been forced out of Brazil, I could have never built this beautiful business in the UK. It's true, man. You know, my best friend fired me from my job in New York City in 2001 because I was a mess and I was a drug addict and I thought I was going to die. If that hadn't happened, I couldn't have come to London. I wouldn't have created London Real. I wouldn't have the family. So I'm so thankful for that stuff. At the time, I was resentful and angry. This is going to be you. 10 years from now, you're going to look back and you're going to be, thank God, I couldn't have built that business in Brazil. Something else would have happened. Somebody would have done this. They would have took it from me. Those guys helped me get out of here and come to London. I see you smiling already.
Yeah.
So think about that positive energy, dude, and really visualize that future 10 years from now. This is going to be one of the greatest things that ever happened to you. I know that sounds crazy. And walking away from it is going to be another one of the greatest things. And again, I'm going to make a Nelson Mandela comparison with you. Nelson Mandela, 27 years in prison. So don't tell me you had a hard time. 27 years. He gets out. What does he do? Does he fixate on it? Does he try to go and get payback from those guys like you're doing? No. He says, I'm going to go lead this country with kindness and collaboration and love. And he built an incredible legacy. So you're in a Nelson Mandela moment right now. Well, who do you want to be? You want to be the resentful guy that's going to be angry and try to fight him? Or do you want to say, guess what? I'm showing the world who I really am. I'm going to create something amazing out of this pain. And use the pain, but use it to create something positive.
Yeah.
All right? Will you do that for me? This is so important, because I don't want you walking around there with this negative energy. It's going to find its way back to me somehow.
No, it's
not. It's not going to serve you. It's not going to serve you. You know, and I know anger, and I get it. And when you feel it, go punch a heavy bag. Go get that physical practice. But just realize you got to separate it from yourself. It's not going to serve anyone, your daughter, your business partners. And practice to the mirror or to video your 1-minute explanation if it comes up. Maybe less than a minute. Yeah, this is this, and this is the way it was, and that's why I'm no longer doing business there, and I'm doing this. Period. And everyone will be like, cool. And when you give me your answer previously, it's going to make me want to look into it more and not want to hang out with you. But when you just explain it that way, I'll be like, okay, makes sense. Let's do this. All right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's my challenge to you, to put it behind you. I would love it if you could write me and tell me that you're going to do that and you're going to put these positive affirmations into practice and find a way to tell yourself every day this is the best thing that happened to you, and find a way to just not think about these people, or in a sick, weird way, thank them. Thank them for this brand new opportunity, because I really think it will be your best moment. All right?
All right. No, I get it. Let's see if I find the strength to be able to create that.
All right, you have the strength, man. I know you can do this.
All right.
I know you can, man.
Appreciate
all right?
it.
Okay.
All right.
Let's build this great future, man. I think you have one. All right?
Great, Brian.
I'll start
Thank you
today.
very much.
Okay, man. Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it.
All right. I appreciate it, man. Cool. This is Real Talk. If you want to come here and join me, it's londonreal.tv/Real Talk. We do it every week. Very real. You just got to get to London. That's it. So thanks, John. I appreciate the honesty. If you guys got something from this, leave us comments. Let us know. And that's it. We're out.
At London Real, we believe that individual transformation can change the world. Join us and start your journey today.